Hi, welcome to the virtual orientation for the Telluride by Starcraft 292RLS. We're going to start orientation on the outside of the RV, and we're going to start at the front. The first thing that we'll look at is your front storage compartment. It has a magnet clasp to hold the door up, very handy. And as we come inside here, we'll make note of a few items. One being the manual cranks for your spare tire and for your stabilization jacks. We also have the bag and storage for your RVQ, or the onboard barbecue for the RV. I'll show you that in a little bit, as well as some lighting. Let's continue to work our way forward here. We have the solar connection point. This is where you connect your portable solar panel right here. And directly below your portable solar panel hookup, we have your auxiliary 20-pound propane bottle storage. As we continue around the front, we'll make note of the pin box, and well, here, this is where you will find the whip to connect to the tow vehicle inside the pin box, as well as your safety breakaway switch. Your safety breakaway switch is designed to attach to the tow vehicle via this loop end. In the event that the tow vehicle and the RV become separated, this pin will be pulled free of the housing, engaging the trailer brakes and stopping the trailer. If you ever find that your brakes are engaged on the RV and they should not be, there's a good chance that this pin has been pulled free of its being fully seated in the housing, but not pulled directly out of the housing itself. So if that's the case, you just have to come and make sure it is pushed in and fully seated into the housing. Otherwise, the trailer brakes still may be engaged even if the pin is still in here. So as we come around to the off-door side or into the front storage here, just make some notes of the storage compartment itself. But in the storage compartment, we have your battery disconnect. Your battery disconnect will disconnect the battery from the rest of the trailer to lessen the draw on the battery. However, there are many items in the RV that will draw from the battery even if the disconnect is on. So just be aware that with the disconnect off, there will still be a draw on the battery. It'd just be less than if it were on. We also have your battery storage here as well. So as we come around to the off-door side, we'll make note of the switching here for your front running light, as well as the manual crank for your front landing gear, which I showed you the storage point on the other side of this underbelly storage. The two cranks I showed you there, the one crank will work in here as the manual crank for your landing gear. Here's the electronic control for your landing gear here to extend and retract. And directly below this, we have the working storage area for your double 20 propane system. This system uses a crossover regulator, and with the third 20-pound bottle on the other side, provides you with a total of 60 pounds of propane on board. And the way this crossover regulator functions, you'll see in this instance the handle is pointing this way towards this tank. When this tank drops below a predetermined amount of pressure, and that amount of pressure is predetermined by the regulator and cannot be adjusted. When this bottle reaches the predetermined amount of pressure or drops below it, The regulator will automatically cross over and draw from the second bottle, regardless of where this handle is pointing. What that means is, on those cold nights, as long as both bottles have propane, you won't have to get out and switch over to keep the heat on. So we continue to move along the off-door side. We'll come to the off-door side of the underbelly, and here we'll find a couple items. We have your, what you call a dog bone, and what this will do is convert your 50 amp plug-in into a 30 amp plug-in. That way, if any campgrounds don't have a 50 amp site available, or they just don't have a 50 amp site, you can still connect to a 30 amp connection point and be able to power your RV. Now, inside the RV, we also have a conversion block to convert this 30 amp end into a 15 amp plug-in. That way you can utilize the receptacles on the outside of your home. The only thing being that you will not be able to run all appliances together at the same time, or the AC, but you will be able to run the basics to charge the battery and keep the fridge running and cold, or anything like that, run the lights, and so on and so forth. Also on this side, along with the dog bone, we have your 50 amp power cord that you would plug into the campground power, and we have your provided spray nozzle and spray hose. Also on the outdoor side of the RV, we have the output here for your black and gray water tanks. It still had some antifreeze in there. This is where you'll find the output for your black and gray water. And then the valve handles for the black and gray water are here for black, the gray water here, and then your secondary gray water tank valve handle is right there. Fairly easily accessible. As we stand up here, we'll take a look at the outside access to your hot water tank. So the hot water tank, there's a few important items on the outside here, one being the pressure relief valve, the secondary thing being your drain plug, and the reset for the appliance. So in the event that you wish to drain this, or you're winterizing, you would need to remove your drain plug. However, being that this is fully pressurized, this can come shooting out of here pretty good once you get to that last thread. So it's always a good idea to relieve the pressure, and you would do that by opening the pressure relief valve and leaving it open while you're removing the plug here. If the appliance attempts to light and is unable to do so, you may have to press the reset here in order for it to light properly. Again, a lot of times when the appliances don't light on the initial try, it's simply because there's not enough gas pressure built up in the lines. There's also pretty good instructions right here on the door itself if you have any further questions. We continue along the outside, and I'm gonna crawl under here just to show you a couple things. Usually they have the low point drains marked on the RV, however, this one they do not. So I'm gonna crawl under here and show you right here is the low point drain for your freshwater tank. So if you ever utilize and fill your freshwater tank and then wish to drain it, you need to open this valve here. Now right beside this valve, and you probably won't be able to see it, I'll just point to it, there's another drain coming out here. That is the overflow for your freshwater tank. What that means is when you're filling your freshwater tank, it doesn't overflow into the RV or do anything that would wreck the RV. It's simply if it gets too full, it drains automatically out of the overflow here. So if you're filling the fresh water and you see water pouring out of the bottom of the RV, there's a good chance it's okay. It's just your overflow working as it should. One other thing I'll show you on this side is we have a manual crank here for your slide. As we come along to the back of the RV, we will note that your 50 amp power connection is here. The power cable that I showed you in the underbelly storage on the outdoor side connects into here. Directly below your power connection point, we have the extend or retract switching for your electric stabilization jacks. Now it is important when using the stabilization jacks to note that depending on how level the campsite is, or the site in which you're camping or parking your RV, the stabilization jacks may not extend fully to the ground. They may run out of travel. For that reason, I'd recommend traveling with some blocking. 6x6s are usually what I would recommend for that purpose. They usually give you lots of height and a good sturdy base in order to snug those stabilization jacks up to the ground and keep the trailer stable. The last item on this off-door side that we'll look at is your docking station. You'll note that it has this handy little kickstand, so it'll hold the door open for you. There's also some pictures to indicate what some of the items are. That spray nozzle that I showed you earlier in the off-door side of the front compartment there, or underbelly storage compartment, can be connected to this connection point here, allowing you to have a spray hose for either showering or just cleaning off bicycles or whatever you would like on the outside of the RV. Also in this docking station, we have the main input for cable or satellite into the RV, as well as your black tank flush valve here. In order to utilize the black tank flush, you would connect your garden hose from either your home or your campground or RV park to here. However, before you turn the tap on, connected to the other end of your hose, make sure your sewer hose is connected to the output for your black and gray water tanks. Make sure it's connected both at the output and into the sewer. And once that is done, make sure you've pulled the valve handle for the black tank, and that valve should remain open. At that point, you can now turn on the tap to provide water here, and it will flush your black tank. Here we have a connection point for both your freshwater tank fill and your city water connection. With the blue valve handle pointing straight up and down like this in a vertical position, it is in city water connection mode. In city water connection mode, you would again connect the garden hose from either your house or from the RV park or campground. Once that's connected, you turn on the tap. It will fully pressurize the system, much like you would pressurize your system at home. And you can use the water system exactly like you would your water system at home from this point. However, if you are not going to be at an RV park, or you happen to only be able to get a site that doesn't have services or a water connection, or for any reason whatsoever that you do not have an outside water source, you can then utilize the onboard freshwater tank. In order to fill that freshwater tank, you would come here, attach your garden hose, turn this handle to the horizontal position. Now when you open the valve on the tap for the garden hose that's attached to here, you're going to begin to fill your freshwater tank. There's an indication panel inside the RV that will let you know when the tank is full, and you can utilize that in order to figure that out. We're going to continue around the outside of the RV. We will make note of the ladder access to the roof, and if we go to the middle of the RV, we'll make note of that right there. That is a housing for a camera. This unit is pre-wired for a rear view camera. So if you wish to purchase separately a rear view camera, it's easy to install right here in this location, and it can be viewed via a head unit that can be utilized inside the tow vehicle. That head unit will give you the ability while in transit, so while moving, to look out the back of your vehicle and monitor if you end up with a bike rack or anything else in the back. It will allow you to monitor those as well as backing up or anything like that. It just gives you a little bit of extra visibility as well. As we come around the back, we'll notice we have a barbecue or an RVQ on the bumper of this unit. It is connected to the propane system, so the two 20-pound bottles at the front, it is connected to the propane system of the RV via this quick connect valve here. Currently you can see that the valve handle here is in the closed position, If you wish to utilize the gas or turn it on, provide gas to the appliance, you must put the valve handle in the open position. And you can see that at the RVQ end, we have another quick connect that connects you to the gas of the RV. We have your drip tray here that is placed at the front. And in order to alight the appliance, we turn to the light position and press the spark knob. At the moment, I do not have the gas turned on. The barbecue itself is slid on to this mounting bracket via these arms through this black hole on either side, and it can be locked in position with this locking pin right here. You'll see the same thing on the other side. Once you pull those pins and remove the barbecue, what you'll be left with is this arm as a separate piece from this mounting bracket. This mounting bracket mounts onto this arm by simply hanging off this top lip. Also on this side of the RV, we have 120 volt GFCI protected plug or power source and the main cable output, so you can have a TV outside the RV. As we continue along the door side here, we've almost come full circle. You'll notice we have some lighting underneath the awning there. And on your second awning at the top, and what we call the heads of the awning, we have a couple speakers. Those two speakers can be utilized in conjunction with the stereo that's inside the RV. Now that we've toured the outside, let's go in and we'll take a look and see what we can find. As we turn around and step in, the first thing I would like to point out is the fire extinguisher just inside the door. I like this position as it is very easily accessible for anybody doing any cooking outside or inside the RV. Directly in front of us, as soon as we open the door, we have this cabinet. The cabinet offers some great storage. Some coat hooks in here at the top on this side, as well as the main controls for the RV. We have your indication panel that will give your fresh tank level, as well as your black, gray, and battery levels. Also here we have controls for your slides, as well as your two awnings, and the lights for your awnings, as well as the main switch for the main lights in the RV. Here we also have switching for your water pump and your water heater on gas or electric. Directly below this cabinet, we have your load center or your panel. This is where you'll find your breakers like you might see in your house, and they function much the same way. And your fuses like you might see in your vehicle, and again they function much in the same way. You'll also notice here that if there's an issue with a circuit, you'll see a red LED light that lights up to indicate which circuit is having the issue. As we step into the hallway that leads to your bedroom or bathroom, we'll make note of the controls for your bedroom slide right here. Now if we step into your bathroom, you'll see that we have a nice cabinet storage area, as well as a nice corner shower with a lock provided to keep the doors locked while in transit, a GFCI protected 120 volt power source. We also have switching for the fan and main lights of the bathroom. As we continue into the bedroom of the RV, we'll notice we have switching here for the lights, and if we continue and turn right around, we'll also notice that we have a position or a location marked for a mounting bracket for a TV for the bedroom. as well as a 120 volt power source and an output for your cable or satellite. So we turn around and face the bed. We'll lift it up and make note of your underbed storage. Also, the emergency exit in your bedroom. This emergency exit can be utilized via this black tab. If you push down on the black tab, push your red handle over and out. Once that red handle is perpendicular to the side wall of the RV, you may then push the handle fully out of the window. Once that's done, you can grab the red tab and pull the screen. Then you are able to escape the vehicle safely. So we make our way back to the main area of the RV. We'll take a look at a couple other items. Again, on the island here, you'll note that we have a 120 volt power source here and here, and we have your carbon monoxide propane detection alarm. At the moment, you will see that there's a green light on to indicate that the system is functioning properly. Directly above that, we have a button that you may press in order to test the system. It will go through a series of loud beeps. That light will turn red, and if everything is safe and good to go, it will return to green. It's a good idea to test this alarm every so often to make sure the system is functioning properly. In order to make it easier to remember, I usually suggest that we test your carbon monoxide propane alarm at the same time as you change the batteries in your smoke detector. It's recommended that you change the batteries, or at least check the batteries, every 6 months during the time change. So I'd recommend that when you're doing that for your smoke detector, also press the button on there just to make sure it is functioning properly. Directly above that alarm, we have your thermostat for the unit. It is a capacitive touch, meaning that you do not have to mechanically depress anything. It's a very light touch to get it to function. We have your fan settings on auto, high, and low. We have your AC, and we have your furnace settings. You can control the temperature via these side buttons here, and that will also help you cycle through the fan settings between high, low, and auto. It is always recommended to leave the fan on auto, as if the fan is on high, it will use the reefer or the AC fan in order to achieve that, which is okay if you do want the increased amount of airflow. It will, however, increase the noise level as well. So if you find that your AC fan is coming on when you're trying to use the furnace, there's a good chance that you have the fan set to high. So if you do not wish that, come here, come to this first screen right here, and you can cycle through high, low, or auto. The next thing that we'll take a look at is a refrigerator. The refrigerator is used either via the shore power or propane. This is achieved via an auto, electric, or gas only mode. When in auto mode, it will choose between propane or electricity. If you're not connected to shore power, it will choose propane, but if you're connected to shore power, it's automatically going to choose electricity to power the fridge. And then you have the option of just straight up choosing electricity or straight up choosing propane. You may notice at some points that the appliance does not light the first or initial time. The main reason for that is usually either the bottles have not been opened on the front, or you've just opened the bottles and pressure is not built up in the lines sufficiently to light the appliance. That's why some people will recommend coming in here, and the first thing you do in order to get the lines pressurized and get any air out of the lines is to light your range. However, before you light your range, you must always open this glass cooktop like that, and never close it again before this is cooled down, as it could cause breakage. And then the last thing I'd say is I would not travel with it up like that. Always make sure it is down for travel, just so it doesn't break. So in order to light the range top, you turn the handle to the light position and then turn the sparking knob, and we have flame. So if you light these top burners first via that method and then light your refrigerator, that oftentimes will negate the need to light and then relight the fridge, as the pressures will then be built up in the lines. So the last thing with the range and stove here that we need to show you is how to light the stove portion or the oven portion. First, always open the door. Once open, turn it to the light position. Now the main difference between lighting the burners in the oven is that once in the light position, you have to press and hold the knob in while you turn the sparker in order to light the oven. We also have the oven lights and hot dial lights as well. So now we're going to turn around and look down here, and what we're going to look at is the onboard water pump. So this is normally in here and attached with 2 Red Robertson screws. I removed those previous to starting the video just to make it a little bit easier. And you'll see in here we have your water pump. You will also see that there are some valves. We have this blue one, we have this one, and we have the silver one. So these can get pretty confusing at times. So what you want to realize or want to think about is that water flow is going to start on this side. This is your water filter. This water filter wants to filter the water before it gets to the pump. So water is coming this way via this blue tube here. Your water is coming, goes through the pump, comes out here, and then from here it has one of a couple choices. It's either going to push water into the plumbing system of the RV, or it's going to draw water from your freshwater tank. So if you look at these handles now, this one is in the closed position or off position. This one is in the open position. And this one is in the closed position. So at the moment, your water is going to come in here. It's going to come up to this tube right here, which is your fill tube. So at the moment, this is set up to draw from your fill tube. You would use this fill tube to draw from a jug of antifreeze in order to winterize your RV. Now, in order to draw from your tank, we would have to change it for this valve to be open and this one to be in the other position. And then that would allow you to draw from your freshwater tank. It can be a little daunting, it can be a little confusing, so if it doesn't work the first time, that's okay. I mean, really, you're not going to hurt anything if you come in here and just try every handle and every position. Eventually you're going to get it, so don't be afraid to try a few different handle positions in order to either draw from your fill tube here or from the freshwater tank. Once drawing from the freshwater tank, it will then allow you to pressurize the water system and use it like you would your water at home. Okay. We'll come in to this compartment. It's a nice sized pantry. What I want to show you in here is the inside access to your hot water tank. Again, we have Red Robertson screws, 4 this time, holding this panel on. I did those previous to the starting the video just to make it easier. And then we come in here and we'll see the back part of your hot water tank. We need access to it in order to winterize or dewinterize your RV. At the moment, with the valve handles pointing into the tank, you are going to be putting water through the tank, which is great. That means you can get hot water for your shower and all that. But at the end of the season, if you want to winterize your RV, you will want to change these valve handles to point in this direction so they're in line with this tubing, and what that will do is close off any liquid from flowing into the tank and simply allow it to loop around and bypass the tank. You would do this when you're winterizing, dewinterizing, so you don't have to fill your tank full of antifreeze, just a waste of antifreeze. You can always just pull the drain plug on the outside that I showed you previously. We'll close this up. Now when I was outside, I had mentioned that we had a conversion block from the 30 to the 15. Here it is. We always put it in the sink. I don't know why. But if you're looking for it, the first time you get your RV, this is where it'll be. We have these nice recliners in this RV. The reclining mechanism is right here on the side on both chairs, and you'll notice over top of that we have USB charging as well as lighting. Then we have heat and a vibration feature as well. That is the same for both chairs, and here we have a mounting position for these side tables, which give you a great view of your TV. Your TV can be pulled out from there in order to see the connection points at the back, but also so you can see the connection points for your cable or satellite at the back of the TV. Your stereo is here, and the stereo will only work if you turn it on, which I just did. So now it's on. We don't need to listen to the music. I'll turn it off again. What I want to show you is the HDMI as well as an auxiliary connection point. There's USB charging capabilities, and then we have the ability to play sound on two zones. Zone 1 being inside the RV, and Zone 2 on the outside of the RV on the awning speakers. We have a nice fireplace that can be controlled via remote or controls on the front here. And then one of the last few things we'll show you inside the RV is the emergency exit. It's pretty simple. Pull the red handle out, slide the window over, slide the screen over, and you can escape to safety. One thing I will note, this trailer has a 50 amp power supply, and with the 50 amp power supply, you're able to run your hot water tank on electric, as well as your fireplace, your AC. You can run everything that that you would like. What you will find though, like I believe I did mention it, if you start using the conversion blocks to convert it down to say a 30 amp receptacle, that 30 amp receptacle may not be able to power everything at once, chiefly AC, fireplace, and your hot water tank on if it's running on electricity. So just be aware of that. If you are not running on the 50 amps, if you're running anything less, 30 or 15, you will see some differences in what appliances you are able to run. Again, chiefly on 15 amps, you will not be able to run your AC, and on 30, there's a good chance you won't be able to run the fireplace and your hot water tank. We have a second emergency exit in this area. It has these two red handles that you flip up, and then the window will pop open and you can escape to safety. And we have a dining room table that you can lift, has a little bit of storage, tablecloths, placemats or something, but then you have this leaf that you can open and extend. That gives you just a little bit more room in case you have company, or maybe you just like more room. The last thing I would like to mention is about the AC system. These baffles on the bottom of the AC unit, when open, will provide the majority of the cool air right here in this direct vicinity. With the baffles closed, however, it will force all or the majority of the air to these ports located throughout the RV. So if you want the cool air to be spread out around the whole RV, make sure the baffles are closed. that is our virtual orientation and tour for your Telluride. It's a great layout and a great RV. I hope you enjoyed our tour. I realize that I've probably forgotten or missed something that might be important to one of you. If I have, I apologize. If you have any more specific questions about anything we talked about or anything we haven't talked about, give us a call and we'd be happy to help you. Congratulations and enjoy your RV.